have had a friendly spat over Michael Jackson's catalog and his music discography, right?
Yep.
And so I say all the time, in my humblest of opinions, that musically, Michael Jackson's Off the Wall is better than Thriller. Tyrone vehemently disagrees because he wants to bring up all of the facts that come with Thriller. Thriller is the most best-selling record of all time. It sold 300 million albums globally. It's one of the best selling albums of all time, and it has Thriller, and it has Beat It, and it has Billie Jean, and that's his argument. But with my argument of Off the Wall being one of the best albums of all time is musically, I think Michael Jackson was at his peak there when it comes to the music. Everything just blended so well together. It had the best of soul, funk, disco, R&B. In my opinion, when Michael's nose was wider, this was his last black album, okay? Where it had soul. All right? Hell, even the architect of Off the Wall, Thriller, and Bad, Mr. Quincy Jones has said it himself that he thinks Off the Wall is the better album than Thriller. Please take some time to digest it, people. Hey, you may not like it, but accept it. That is my humble opinion. When you go to
Interesting.
black neighborhoods, Bastion, do you remember? We all remember where we were when Michael Jackson died, correct?
Yes, I do.
I remember it
My first
very.
job.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no, yeah. I was working on my first job at the what was it? Physical therapist center. Just helping out. Yeah, I remember that.
I remember very fondly as well because it was a summer day. This was like the second to last day of school. It was the first, no, it was the second year of, no, it was the first year of high school done,
Hmm.
right? So I remember just being across the street at my friend's house, playing and whatnot. Then he gets a text message and he says, "Yo, MJ died." I'm like, "Oh my God, Michael Jordan's dead?" And he's like, "No, no, no, Michael Jackson." I was like, "Oh, damn. Okay.
Oh, he did die in the 25th. Interesting.
You did."
Maybe I wasn't working then, but maybe the week after when they had the funeral, because I remember when the funeral was on TV and they turned off all the TV because everybody was getting distracted.
Yeah.
So I remember that. So I
Oh,
guess I'm correlating more the funeral than the news itself. But
okay.
that was such a long time ago,
I remember
2009.
I remember the news. Yes, 2009. In my area of Brownsville, you know what they kept playing in my neighborhood? Off the wall records. Because to me, I feel like in the black community, that album speaks to us the most when it comes to Michael Jackson. Don't get it messed up. We were happy for Michael with Thriller, okay? We like some Michael Jackson songs from Thriller. It's a great album. We like Bad as well, but what resonates with us, Off the Wall.
That kind of reminds me of the Marvin Gaye conversation
Okay.
when people talk about like what's going on, because I think that's like his best album
Yeah,
in
that's the
terms of
epitome.
sales.
Yeah, that's his epitome.
Yeah, but in my opinion, and also it's funny because when I was listening to Marvin Gaye, I was listening to all his albums, and I thought that "Hear My Dear" was his best album. Then I ended up watching a documentary and finding out like "Hear My Dear" is actually his worst selling album, but
Mm.
a lot of people could consider it like his most like it's his breakup album, and that's why it was
Yeah.
like so good. But it's his uh least selling album of his career. So I was like, oh, okay, this is interesting. So people love this album, but it's like I won't call it like 808 and Heartbreaks in terms of like just parallel of what the standard is today. But it's almost like that. It's like this is the person coming out with music. Here's the album that like everybody that kind of threw people off a little bit,
Yeah.
but not a lot of people heard it. And that's what Hear My Dear is. So I do understand what you mean. It's like you can't use the numbers of like this album went 10
Yeah.
times platinum, 100 times platinum. Went what
Plus,
I
that's
think
cheating. That's
yeah,
cheating. Okay.
Michael
Don't do
Jackson's
that.
Thriller went like what 10 diamonds, right?
Yeah, it went 10 diamonds. It was like the first black artist to be featured on MTV with the video.
Yeah,
Don't
so
give me all
10
those
diamond.
facts, okay? That's
You,
like that's cheating. All right. Listen,
yeah,
we know the importance of Thriller, but guess what? If there wasn't for Off the Wall, you would not get Thriller.
yeah.
Okay.
It's
And
all
it's
about the
funny that you
super
talk about
fans.
Here, My Dear, because
Yeah.
there was a documentary about Off the Wall directed by Spike Lee, and they talked about the significance of Off the Wall and what Off the Wall did, not just for music, but just Michael Jackson's career. Because you got to remember, right?
Hmm.
Off the Wall was one of Michael Jackson's first solo albums as an adult. Okay. Because up until that point, he was still running around with his brothers. Okay. And this was a pivotal point for Michael. Okay. Because all we knew,
1979.
exactly, 1979, this was a pivotal point for Michael because all we knew of Michael was the Jackson Five, right? And people didn't know if Michael can do it by himself without his brothers making a hit. And then to hook up with one of the best producers of all time, composers of all time, in Quincy Jones, bro, we soul train to off the wall music. Okay. Don't stop till you get enough. Come on. Come on. Let me go through the first 5 tracks off the wall. Okay. Don't stop till you get enough. Rock with you. Working day and night. Dance with me. Off the wall. Come on, bro. Come on. And they got Girlfriend. Come on. Stop it. Stop playing. Off the Wall is one of the best albums of all time, and it's better than Thriller. Hey, and if you agree or disagree with me, I didn't know I didn't prep you for this. Hell, I want you to call in. I want this smoke. 212-209-2877 because I feel that strongly. I want smoke tonight. I don't care. Again, 212-209-2877. Call in. Smoke.
You're ridiculous, bro.
But what do you think? Do you think Off the Wall is the better album than Thriller? What is your opinion?
No, I disagree. I think Thriller is better, more interesting. Off the Wall is cool and all, but Thriller just had a. I feel like it was more of a mastered sound. Off the Wall does sound clear and cut. It sounds like someone trying, like getting there. But when you hear Thriller, it's like I got there. But it's not good for me to talk about it because I wasn't born when it came out. I'm looking
I wasn't
relatively
either.
from the lens of the past, so I'm just looking like a comic book. I seen all the pages already, right? Now I'm just looking at the story. So if I hear Thriller first, which I did,
Of
then
course you did. We all did.
then a very long time, 10 years later, I finally listened to Off the Wall, finding out that's like one of his first albums. I'm like, oh, okay, but I still
Solo
think Thriller
album.
is better. So
Off the Wall is so
you're asking
dope.
the
It
wrong
killed it.
person.
Off the Wall is so dope. It killed the genre. Like Off the Wall killed disco.
No, no, the riots.
No,
Other things killed disco, but
no,
yeah,
man. Off the Wall was so great. It was like the swan song to disco, an
no,
era of disco. It was at
disco
the end of the 70s.
disco
Michael
died to
Jackson killed it.
racism, bro. It had nothing to do with Michael Jackson. I know
And
the story about disco, but if you ask me, to like, if you have the same conversation with, like, for example, like, I guess not Outkast, maybe like Kanye West music, because I was there for each album, I could explain to you. It's like, yeah, College Dropout is great, but 808 and Heartbreaks really, really good. Or Yeezus, it's amazing. Or Late Registration was good, was even better than College Dropout because College Dropout was just the way it is. So you can have multiple conversations with it, and I can have multiple angles in order to have a debate with it, depending on because I had so much experience with it. So yeah, we need to ask older people that were like young, maybe 10 or 15 years old when Off the Wall came out. Then 3 years later, Thriller came out, and it's like, how did they feel about it?
Mm.
How many records were scratched up because they heard it back and forth a million times?
Well, I gave out the number. No one want to call. Seems
No,
like I'm right here.
no one wants to smoke Thursday at 12 a.m.
I feel
at
you. I
night.
get it. I get it. Fair enough. But they know I'm right.